This is Butler on Business, your home for economics from a free market perspective.
On the phone with us now for an encore performance is Michael Hill, author of the new book, Crony Capitalism, How Big Business and the Feds Are Ruining America. Michael, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. I really appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.
All right, but now let's talk about the crony capitalist.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you the one that really bothers me for some reason. I shouldn't let him get to my skin that much, but it was old Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, he's something, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's like the poster child for this stuff. You know, he does that aw shucks and all that, and yet he's the first pig at the trough when they're handing out that government money.
Well, he's definitely made out like a fat cat. And, you know, he's just one of a whole entourage of folks that are just propping up all these politicians on both sides of the spectrum to make sure that they're at the head of the line. And that's really why I wrote the book, because ultimately it's that brand and I hate even to connect it to the word capitalism, but that brand of capitalism that inspired my book, Cannibal Capitalism, because it destroys grassroots capitalism. And worse than that, it destroys the public perception of capitalism. I mean, look at what's happening in Europe right now. That could happen here if we keep letting some of the cronies and their guys in government continue to drive the economy away from the broad swath of the country.
You know, Michael, and I think one thing we need to underscore here, this is a bipartisan problem. I mean,
isn't that something? And that's the point, which is why we really need to look at, okay, what can we do in the business community to deal with this issue? And ultimately, I believe the greatest threat to our system of economic prosperity is what these cronies and what their puppets are doing. In the public sector and at the top of the private sector. What they're doing is changing people's perception toward capitalism away from what Milton Friedman had so right when he said that there's been no system to raise people out of poverty that comes close to free market capitalism. But now you have people out there that are changing their thinking process. I mean, listen to this statistic. It's on Gallup. 36% of Americans now have a favorable view of socialism. That's crazy. If that trend continues, electing a left-wing president would be the least of our problems.
Well, Michael, a lot of the current problems from both political parties are blamed or at least recognized as being somehow related to a free market gone wild. When was the last time in American history that we've had anything close to a true capitalist economy?
Calvin Coolidge, maybe?
You know, that's one that's kind of a tough one to really lay out chronologically. But, you know, we did have it toward the end of the 19th century. I think that's probably the closest thing that we had, where ultimately, because of the expansion geographically of the country, it was really possible to go out west to build businesses, build prosperity in a minimally regulated environment. There have been periods. I can't say that we've never seen it, but whether or not that's the case, we have to really look at what's destructive to any form of positive growth and positive prosperity and general wealth creation.
Michael, now, what do you think we should do about our unemployment situation?
Well, I'll tell you, these numbers are staggering. 44% polled said that they're struggling. That is getting so close to the 50% line that the economic implications of it are becoming huge. Now, I'm a grassroots capitalist kind of guy. I believe the only way forward is business creation, creating new businesses. And with the engine of business creation, cut off at the knees, we have to find new ways, free market mechanisms, to push money into the aspiring entrepreneurs. It has to happen. There's money out there that can go there. We need to build mechanisms to make it happen.
Is there any way to do it under our current political arrangement, under the current system, or do we have to fundamentally alter the way we look at our economy and politics?
I think in the short term, we have to work outside of the political system as free market enterprises, because in the end, the public sector is going to follow the critical mass, which is again why it's so dangerous to let some of these statistics really get on the wrong side of the ledger. I mean, the reason why you could call them hippies on Wall Street caught so much news is the point of the 1% argument has some truth to it. I mean, Alan Greenspan gave an interview, and don't take me as a huge fan of Alan Greenspan. Frankly, I prove in my book, Cannibal Capitalism, how he actually caused the Great Recession. But one comment that he made that's very, very true is there is a dance, you could say, between politics and economics, in that if too many people see themselves as outside of the economic system, or even being victims of capitalism, the more they're going to start looking for something else. And that's precisely what we just saw happen in Greece and France. They see themselves now as being victims of the rich and the elite and so forth. And where do they go? They go even further left and further down a dangerous economic course. If that happens here, instead of wealth creation and business creation, I mean, we're going to see a new Huey Long pop up.
I do think those occupiers, which, by the way, was an organized movement, and the 99% and the 1%, I can kind of agree with that. They just are pointing at the wrong 1%. The 1% is this mix-up between the politicians and the cronies.
Yeah.
That's the 1% people need to be outraged about.
No question about it. And that's why I think more people need to listen to your show, because I like the way you guys always start off with business. You look at the markets. You look at what's going on. I mean, if we can help our plumbers start trading in the copper market, help our carpenters start trading in the lumber market, help people that are in the medical businesses start trading the pharmaceutical markets. Like me, when my housing business really started to suffer, shorten the housing sector wasn't a bad move for me, because I saw what was happening. If you're a computer guy, you see what's coming down the path in the tech stocks. Getting that connection where there's participation of smaller businesses in these larger economics, so we bring people up through the free market system, that is a part of the solution I propose in my book, Cannibal Capitalism. But that's it. I think as business people, we need to be proud of how capitalism works. If someone's on the air selling something, we don't want to look at them with a skewed eye. We want to say, hey, you're selling something. You're in the system. Good for you. Sell something. Get out there and create a job, create a business. Trade the global market instead of crying about what's happening overseas or what's happening with so-called offshoring. Let's get in on this. There's 7 billion people out there that want to be American, at least economically speaking. Let's find ways to take advantage of that, make some money. And that's really a big part of what my book's all about. Let's all make some money. We don't have to cry about what's going on. There are crazy opportunities that we can take advantage of.
Michael, I really like that message, and I still feel that the entrepreneurial spirit is very much alive here in America. People just maybe need a little bit of direction about how to tap into that, how to make that money. So I really appreciate that message, and also like the way that you frame it as big business and government, how they're running America, how it's not necessarily the haves versus the have-nots. It's not the 99% versus the 1% in monetary terms, that there is a conflict here, but it's the American people that are going to bring us out of this.
It is. That's the only way it's going to happen, Jason. Really, Al and I were talking about it last time, creating some real tax incentives for business creation. I mean, Al, you had a really great one about, letting small businesses or startups write their expenses and their capitalization costs off right away. And my thought about, eliminating capital gains tax on seed money investment, so that there's a reason for some of the huge amounts of money that's sitting on the sidelines to actually get into startup. I mean, on the public side, I'd actually like to see an SBA that actually did small business loans instead of the garbage that they do now, and call it SBA loans. I mean, we need to get behind business creation, because business creation means job creation, means wealth creation, and that's what my book's all about. And that's really the message that I'm going to preach from the soapbox and from the hills.
Michael, we look forward to the next time.